Welcome back. My name is Peter Pilgrim. I am a Java champion, technologist, senior developer consultant. I'm going to talk to you about this Java interview question that I posted on the 20th of March 2023. It was about how to find duplicates in a list collection of integers, find duplicates, sort them, and return the text sorted value as we see here in this JUnit 5 unit test. As you might be aware, I am actually out of work. I'm looking for a gig, permanent or contract. This is my LinkedIn. I call myself a Java Freebird. And I'm pretty annoyed because I received some information and told me from a microaggressive person that told me that I didn't know Java. First of all, I'm a Java champion, keynote speaker, presenter, writer of books, presenter, lots of code. And the other thing, they disgracefully told me that I didn't know IntelliJ. And you know, IntelliJ is freely available to all Java champions and Microsoft MVP users and Gradle advocates and for lots of other people. So let me jump to IntelliJ and let me show you the code. So can you actually see that? Let me zoom in or zoom out. Since I've done presentations before. Oh, that's too big. There you go. That's better, isn't it? So I have lots of failing tests. This is JUnit 5. Let's see what Java this is now. I'm using Java 19. OpenJDK or Tamarin 20 isn't available yet. So good. So the idea is to fill in this empty method here, search, duplicate, sort them. Yeah, so let's do that. Let's run it for now and see what happened. I could have gone Shift F10 here. So I do know my commands, and that's the old way. I'm so old that I use Shift F10. I could use Command R in the new way of the new mappings of IntelliJ. But there we go. I don't know IntelliJ, do I? Okay, so enough of the buffoonery. How do we solve this problem? So I'm returning just a string, and of course only one of these tests actually pass. So let's see. And this is when you send in a list of empty numbers, and therefore you get a empty string, which of course satisfies the unit test here. So what do we do? Well, the first thing I would do is write a histogram of my numbers. Okay, so a little bit fat-fingered today. So let's go. I've got my histogram here of key values, an integer and an integer. And what we are trying to do is actually count the integers, the occurrences of these integers. So remember, we have a list collection of these kind of integers, and we want to count the occurrences. So let's see what happens when we run this test, which I'm calling Duplicate Integers FinTech Job Software Test, which is a nice long name. I won't reveal the FinTech that is dissing me here. So now we still have failing conditions, but I want you to pay attention to the console output here, and so that we are indeed getting those occurrences in our histogram. So that is step one. So we're well on the way to solving this problem. So the next thing is to then filter on the histogram. So I'm going to write histogram and then stream on the entry set. So on the entry set, you get the entry set, which is a set of keys and value pairs or tuples and you stream across this, and you filter for each tuple. Each tuple has a key and a value, and because we have integers, it's the value that we're interested. If the value is greater than 1, as we see down here in the output, so 1 occurs at least 2 times, 2 occurs 2 times. Therefore, we can filter out the duplicates, and indeed that's what we have. So we are in another variable called duplicates, retrieving all the duplicates, and the other thing that we can do is actually sort on the duplicates. You can do more lambda things here, but I like readable code. So this is a nice little tip. If you're struggling with lambdas in Java, break it down. And this is for code review purposes, actually. So that using local variables are actually fine. And this makes sense, because when you want to debug things, it's a lot easier, and you kind of have to do that anyway if lambdas and functions are too hard to break down. I have a little test. When I look at code, can I understand this code, how it works 3 months later when I'm working on another Jira or GitLab or GitHub ticket? Is it more understandable now that I've just wiped that code from my mind and I come back to it? And that could be critical if you are in overnight support. So with that said, let's look at our sorted set 2 test. So indeed, we have a histogram of just 2. Let's look at this one, the sorted set 3. And indeed, we are getting duplicates of 3, and they are actually being sorted. So and we can change that method here, so that we can prove that the sort does work. So if I change that to 3 to 1 and run this test again, I run the whole thing again, I should get a sorted value here. And there you go. So my histogram is correct. So under the hood, it shows that there's a sorted tree going on, or a sorted set, a sorted hash map maybe. But that's not guaranteed in the Java specification. But we are getting a sorted list of duplicates here. So we are 1 step away. Let me show you then the next step of the code, which is to have a buffer, and I'm going to do this the old-fashioned way. So when I'm going to use a string builder to store the text here, an empty string builder here, and then we are going to so what I've done is now finish the function here. And what we are doing is concatenate the duplicates, each of the duplicates into a text buffer with a comma. So the first element, we don't want to append a comma to it, or no space. So we are appending each duplicate, and we're using a traditional for do loop in Java, and this is fine. Remember, this is about readable code, not fancy as proving that you can program. And some managers and tech leads want to see great, complicated programming. I'm fine. When I look at this code, I can read it. And it's not bad, because under the hood, the JIT, the Java runtime and hotspot or anything else will optimize this code. With the bytecode would be optimized, and so you don't really sometimes have to worry. I know what you're doing here. What I do wish is that the Java SDK had these kind of what you have in Kotlin and Scala, these join methods, and you wouldn't have to do this. And but perhaps that will come. Perhaps there's a Streamway version of this that is easier to grok as well. and everything should be passing, and it does. So that's cool. So we have both sets or all the tests passing. So I'll stop right there. I'm going to show you a neat trick now, because this is not good pair programming code. This is good for 20 minutes. But if you had an hour and I asked you to write this code, I would then ask a following question. How would you clean up this code? What is wrong with this code? I'll give you 5 seconds, and then I will reveal the answer. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well, the answer is to use JUnit 5 parameterized tests. You might see these techniques in Groovy Gradle, Spark, Selenium, Cucumber, and what these kind of tests are like data tests, where in JUnit 5 you annotate with @parameterized tests, and I'm doing some extra tricks here to get more sensible naming, like from the actual arguments. And we have a method here called validate search for duplicate sort, and this test relies on a provider. So it takes arguments, expected text, and a second argument, number list. And what JUnit 5 parameter extension does, it invokes the provider, and the provider, if you notice, returns a stream. This is JUnit 5 library, a stream of these arguments. So each arguments is a set or a list of arguments, really. So this first argument in 4 correlates to expected tests, and this list of this collection here, literal collection, maps to the number list here. So what is happening, that you have test cases here. So it would be better if it was called test cases actually, but it isn't that. It's actual arguments. So each stream of these arguments is provided to this parameterized test here, and therefore you can have a way of not repeating yourself. So let's just run this test, and actually I have kept the traditional duplicates for now. so when we run this test now, you'll see that the traditional arguments tests have written, that standard JUnit 5, but also you have parameterized tests, and you can see how the parameterized tests are kind of made more human readable, more English, shall we say. So the expected tests from this set of list collections is going to be only an expected text of 4, and then because of the JUnit 5 integration with IntelliJ, I can click on all of these parameterized test cases, and I can see the actual results. As remember, I used a lot of the print F statements, the C star print Fs, to show you how the code is working. In real production code, this is a no-no. Printing out to the standard output is a no-no. Even this comment would go. But for the case of education, this is useful. So this solves the problem, the complete solution. And therefore, the final bit is, as an exercise to the reader, is to remove all these duplicates here, since we don't need them anymore. So I hope that was useful. and that solves the exercise. I bid you adieu. My name is Peter Pilgrim, and you can put that in your pipe and smoke it. I do know how to use IntelliJ, and I do have a great understanding of Java, baby. Bye.